What is up with the Zillow coming up with a buyer tour agreement? So basically, what I'm going to be doing is kind of talking to you about what this agreement is and how it affects the consumer, how it affects real estate agents, and why it even came to place in the first place. So let's talk why it came into place in the first place. So the National Association of Realtors has had a lawsuit that's been going on for a year or so. They came to an agreement, and the good news is about the agreement is that most real estate agents and real estate companies are, they're not going to be involved. People cannot come after most real estate companies and most real estate agents directly. So that was good for the National Association of Realtors to protect most real estate agents and real estate companies. A part of this agreement says, number one, that the MLS, you cannot put broker, the compensation that a seller is or isn't willing to pay, you cannot put that on the multiple listing service anymore. That's one part of the agreement. The other part of the agreement states that in order for a buyer's agent to work with a buyer, they have to have a buyer broker agreement signed. And in that agreement, it basically ultimately states that the commission is ultimately the responsibility of the buyer to pay. Now, that doesn't mean that the seller still can't pay the commission. The seller still can pay the commission. They can pay some or all or not any. That's up to them. Commissions, by the way, have always been negotiable. There's no standard or normal or traditional type of commission that's to be paid. But what is going to be standard starting in July is that you need a buyer broker agreement between the agent and a buyer before you can work with the buyer and before you can show them property. Okay. And in this agreement, again, it's going to say that the buyer is ultimately responsible to pay the commission of the agent, although the seller can still pay it. So now let's talk about what Zillow has done. So basically what Zillow has done is they're kind of like making it seem as though they are doing this for the good of the consumer and to help do what we've always should have been doing. And that is basically having the consumer's best interest at heart. So let's go ahead and kind of break down a little bit about what Zillow is doing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so that you can see it, and I'll kind of sort of go over a little bit about what this agreement means. So basically what they're saying is that they are basically, because of the NAR proposed settlement, that they are announcing a new 7-day touring agreement, which means that a buyer does not have to sign a written agreement with the real estate agent that says what they're going to be paid and that they're like married forever. Basically, they're tied together forever. But they can sign an agreement where an agent can, show them houses, and they can drive them in their car and pay for their gas and spend their time up to 7 days without ever being paid, and show buyers properties. All right. And so that's kind of the idea here. So it's valid for 7 days. It covers property tours only. With this agreement, neither exclusively nor compensation is required for this. They're saying at the time when an additional agreement is signed, the buyer and the agent should be aligned on terms and expectations, including compensation with no surprises. So in other words, basically this: when a buyer goes to start working with an agent, the buyer's agent is going to have to be paid, and which they absolutely should be paid. They should be paid, especially if they're a good buyer's agent. Now, some problems that I see with this are a few things. Number one, unfortunately, not all agents are ethical. So an agent that might be an agent that, let's just say, lives an hour away, that has a buyer that wants to look at properties an hour from them, they could say, hey, just go have any old agent just show you a bunch of properties. And then once you find the property that you want, then come back to me and I'll write up the agreement for you. So basically, having one agent do another agent's job for them at the expense of the agent who's showing the properties. Now, I understand that this is actually a good thing to have, right? I believe that a buyer should have the choice as far as who they want to work with. I also believe and know that a good buyer's agent is going to be able to show their value, show how they're going to help them, show why and what makes them unique and different than their competitors, and why they should hire them, and why they should have to justify their commission, right? But do you need to drive buyers around for 7 days to figure this out? I mean, no, I don't think you need to at all. Basically what you're saying, I feel Zillow was basically saying, hey, buyer's agents aren't worth anything. Just go ahead and utilize them and use and abuse and take their time, waste their gas when they can be with their family or making money like normal people do, right? And just have them, be your chauffeur And then once you find the property that you like, you may or may not want to work with them. You can decide. You can decide to hire somebody that's going to just do it for a super low fee. And in most cases, why buyer's agents would do that is because they're not very experienced. It's the only way they can make a living. And they're just like basically paper pushers, which you don't want. You need somebody who's aggressive, who understands the market, who's local, who is experienced, who knows how to negotiate on your behalf, who knows what you shouldn't happen in a real estate transaction. They know how to get you the home. They know how to keep you safe in the home. They know what your deposit should be, when you should remove contingencies, when you shouldn't. I mean, there's so many different aspects involved in a real estate transaction. You want to make sure you hire a buyer's agent and a listing agent that knows all of these things and can keep you safe. Trust me, the amount of money and the amount of things that can go wrong are way more than any type of a buyer or seller fee could be, quite frankly. All right, so we have to be careful with this type of an agreement, and here's why. Number one, because people can use and abuse it, right? You're basically saying, hey, just do all this work, use your gas, use your time, use your energy, use your resources, cart me around, and let me get into all these different homes. Maybe I just want to look at houses. Maybe I just am bored on the weekend, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense to do that for 7 days. Maybe, hey, show up 1 or 2 homes. That's fine. Then you need to develop rapport with the person, justify your value add, show your unique value proposition, how you're different, explain that, sit down, have an actual presentation, just like you do when you meet a seller. When I meet a seller, before I even get there, I've sent over a 17-minute marketing video. I've dropped off my seller book. I've dropped off the seller guide. We're doing all these things now for buyers, right? We've got 20 videos we have buyers watch. We have a buyer booklet. We have a buyer book that we're having buyers go through. We're educating buyers about the buying process. We are showing how different we are, what makes us unique, why they want to hire us compared to our competition. I'm not saying, hey, let me just drive you around for 7 days, show you all the properties, and then let you decide at that point if you want to work with me. It doesn't take 7 days. If you would like to show 1 or 2 homes, absolutely do it, because that's going to be able to kind of develop a relationship. And then after that, you sit down, or quite frankly, before that, whatever, you sit down and you show who you are, what you do, what makes you different. So I do not agree with what Zillow is doing. I also love the fact that they say here that they're doing this buyer broker because they want to, really have transparency between the buyer and the agent. And they want to make sure that they're that it's really important that they understand that they're pro-consumer. Everyone, we should always be pro-consumer. We should always have the buyer's best interest at heart, not just now. Quite frankly, Zillow is a business. They want, just like any business, nothing wrong with that, but they want to be able to get as much money out of everyone that they can, right? That's what they do. They list homes. They take in a massive amount of referral commissions. They charge a lot of money for agents to market their properties on Zillow. Then when people inquire, they sell their information to multiple agents, and these agents fight over it, right? It's a business. Nothing's wrong with that. It's a very smart business. They've done very well. They didn't do very well as a real estate agent, and that's why they had many, many issues when they tried to become an actual brokerage, and they lost a lot of money doing that because they're not agents, and they're not that's not what they specialize in. So the point here is number one, buyer's agents need to be paid by somebody. That's negotiable, but they're going to have to be paid. Their job is very important. In fact, 97% of real estate transactions, there's 2 agents involved, selling agent, buying agent involved. So if 97% of the transactions has a buyer's agent involved over the past 12 months, it means that they're pretty valuable, right? So make sure you hire one that's experienced, that has your best interest at heart, that's educated, that's done a lot of transactions, that knows the local market and knows how to protect you and keep you safe and help you get the home all at once. And make sure that both agents, whether the selling agent or the buying agent, knows how to interact with about 40 or more different parties to the transactions, from insurance, title, escrow, home inspectors, repair people, HVAC, electrical. Looking at the easements, looking at the taxes. There's so many things that they need to know about. There's so many people they need to interact with and engage with throughout the transaction to keep both parties safe. So make sure that they know how to do that. So my thoughts about this new Zillow, doing such a great job by letting us use their documentation that has Zillow's name all over it. People, you don't need Zillow for that. Talk to your broker, talk to your attorney, both state or locally. Ask them, hey, is this allowable? And by the way, this is going to change so much come July. I mean, every state's probably going to be different as far as what they're going to allow or not allow. In most states right now, you already have to have a buyer broker agreement in place before you can work with the buyer. It's required. It's always been suggestion from everyone. You should have a buyer broker agreement in place, right? So that you protect yourself and you protect them. Nothing's new. Everyone's making this big deal out of nothing. And, Zillow's coming in to save the day. So we can all use their agreement and flash Zillow's name all over everything. And thank you, Zillow. I don't agree, right? Make up your own. As an agent, you're already, they continue to raise their costs year after year after year after year and charge you more and more and more to be able to even get leads to be able to market our properties, right? It's really a great business model, but I wouldn't encourage you to continue to help Zillow charge you more money and continue to monopolize that aspect of the industry. Show it to your broker, come up with something similar. You don't need 7 days, maybe 1 to 3 properties max. And then sit down before, during, or after and talk about why you're so special, what makes you different, why you deserve a commission. And consumers, please know, nobody's going to work for free. And yes, there's, no one is. You're not going to work for free. You're not going to go into work for a month and say, let me just see if this is a good arrangement, right? Now, you'll know right away if your agent is good or bad. You don't need 7 days. You need maybe an hour conversation. You need for them to sit down and to prove their what makes them unique and why you need them. That's all you need. But anyways, that's just my 2 cents. Anyways, I'll have links in here about the that are in relation to the NAR lawsuit, what it means, as well as Zillow's buyer agreement and why that they're a buyer tour agreement and what it means. And so see you next time, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.